Hey guys, and welcome to a new series on my channel. Recently I asked you guys whether or not you'd be interested in seeing a palette a day series. A couple of you did say you'd be interested in seeing that series testing all of the indie brand eyeshadow palettes that I have in my collection, and these are brand new to me. I made it kind of a mission in my personal life to support more independent brands and get more into indie eyeshadow brands. So I have been hauling a bunch. I've got a bunch of different indie brand haul shadow videos on my channel. I think there's 4 installments, and I will be trying to link those in the description box in case you guys are interested in checking them out and you haven't already. But I have 45 palettes that I have not tested, I have not put on my eyes. I have swatched most of these in the haul video, but in these videos I am going to fully swatch all of the palettes before we do one look. Not all of these palettes are still available. I noticed that after hauling them, some of them sell out. That's how indie brand shadows go. But in case some of them do come back in stock, and in case you guys have these palettes in your current collection and are interested in seeing a look, I am going to include all of the palettes that I hauled, regardless of whether or not they are still available. I am just picking the palettes that are really calling to me the day that I come up here to film these videos. And if you are interested in me doing a look with any one of those next, please leave it in the comments below. If you guys aren't currently subscribed, I'd love to see you subscribe. You guys, let's get into it. Today we're going to do the Enchanted Garden palette. This is from Pink Crush Cosmetics, and as of right now, their shop is currently closed, so this is a discontinued palette. There's no palettes that I can find available for sale from this brand. I did buy this on Etsy. They had an Etsy shop, as I think all of these are like handmade palettes that came from this brand, and I think they had announced their closure sometime last year, around this time, I would say in 2023. But I got this palette fairly recently, I would say with like in the last 6 months. As you guys know, I did a bunch of indie shadow hauls, so most of these palettes are within the last 6 months is when I purchased them, at least sometime this year. So I got this after the announcement that they were closing down. We're still working on our fall themed palettes, and Enchanted Garden fell square in that arena because this is like all fall themed palette to me. The color story here is basically just a fall look. You're gonna get greens, neutrals, and maybe a little bit pink, kind of down here in this matte shade right here. Now, the last beauty reviews video that I did, you guys had mentioned that you just really liked the natural look, that you thought I looked okay with like crazy vibrant eyeshadow, but you were just digging the natural look. So I thought we would stick with that theme today and just go with something a little bit more wearable, which is why I picked this palette, because I think that this palette is really just that. This is kind of an everyday palette for me. I made the purchase not only to test another indie brand, like very small indie brand, doesn't even have their own website, just the Etsy shop. I thought this I'll use on an everyday basis, something that I can wear to the office and whatnot and get some pretty neutral looks out of it. So that is why I wanted to pick this palette today, and that is why I picked this palette up. So let's get to swatching it and let's create just an everyday fall look. I cannot remember what this palette retailed for. I want to say it was probably in like the $30 range. It is a nice 12 pan, but it does look like there are some repetitive shades, I will say that. Like this one and the other green shimmer looks very repetitive. Like this one down here and this one up here looks very similar, and then the two in the corners, this one and then the one over here. Like they just have a similar tone to them, and they're the same formula shimmer. So there's a lot of repeats here, and this cherub shade, the very lightest matte shade, probably won't do anything for me except maybe diffuse out some of the other matte shades. And it's not usually something I do, although I've been doing it more lately. I would say though that these are all super desaturated shades, so will it need a lighter shade to diffuse them out? Probably not. And most of these are gonna feel like satins, not high reflective shimmers. This one is Eden, but it's nicely pigmented though. You know, these are totally everyday shimmers. This is Magnolia. They're so freaking smooth. Keepsake is the first matte. It's a warm brown. Oh wow. Actually, these are a lot more pigmented than I thought that they were going to be. The colors themselves are kind of like toned down and lighter, but I think that that shade there felt really saturated. Now I'm interested to see how similar this one is to the bottom one in the corner. This one is called Pebbles. Okay, this is probably the most intense shimmer, even just looking at it. Most light reflecting anyway. This looks like a really straight neutral brown matte in Tree of Life, but quite desaturated. I've got a hair there. Yes, very neutral shade. Lovely for an everyday brown neutral look. Here's the cherub shade that I'm skeptical is even gonna show up on me. And this one seems pretty hard pressed in the pan too. Not picking up a lot on my finger. That disappeared into thin air. There's literally nothing there. So that's my skin tone. All right, I guess I'm a cherub. All right, this is Toplary. Toplary? I don't know how to pronounce it. Oh, I just swatched it on top of that shade. Oops. Okay, well, let's put that other shade below it, then I'll remember. Cherub's gonna go back underneath the green shade and do literally nothing. All right, moving on. Then the next one is another brown. It's a shimmer, but it's like a satin shimmer. I'll do it down here. That has a warmer tone to it. It's pretty. I like how smooth all of these are. Again, very everyday. So if you guys were hoping for an everyday look today, that's what we're doing. Now I'm interested to see how this one compares to the Pebbles shade, which is right here. Now that I'm looking at it, this is so much more copper. Like, look how champagne this is. Actually, no, that has a bit more warmth than just like truly champagne. They are different enough. And so are the greens too. Like, this is a much lighter green. This is a deeper green. So they're pulling differently. It's just the same shades in different depths, basically. Tulip Tree is the next matte shade. This is the pinky option. Ooh. Not super intense, not super pigmented on that one. Wow, my swatches are not straight today. I like this shimmer. It's called Daylily. It's like a pink satin. I'm all over the place. I really like this one. The swatches are like in different angles even. I'm praying this last one, my green matte here, pulls a little bit darker than some of the blues that I get. No. See, this has a lot of, I meant green, but this has a lot of like blue pigment in it. So it looks a little bit more teal on my skin tone, which I don't love. If you're gonna do like a foresty type vibe palette, I want my green to be super dark in case I wanna do like a green dark smoky look. I don't like these ones that are gonna diffuse out and look more blue because they change the entire look of the eye when you use them predominantly in the outer corner. Nice everyday swatches though. I'm definitely gonna use this shimmer right here. It's just the most light reflecting, as you can see, holding it against the light, and probably like a pink and brown look, I think is what we're gonna go for so that we can keep it just light and everyday. I do have to go out later, so that's what this eye look is gonna do. It's gonna carry me through the rest of the day. Let me show you which ones I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take this in the crease. I'm gonna take the neutral brown in the outer corner, and that's going on the lid, and that's literally all we're doing. Again, something super simple. And I'm actually gonna start with the crease today instead of taking it into the outer corner and then like buffing the edges. Oh, that's nice. It's like light and airy and not skipping. I did set my eyes with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer because I do want these to last. Usually I don't get skipping on the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer, but honestly lately some of the shadows that I've been using, the green and brown looks that I've been doing, they have been skipping. And I think that's the palette's fault. Okay, I'm taking, these are all brand new, like cleaned brushes. I'm taking one that's like a packer brush for the outer corner and going into that brown matte shade. And I'm just gonna give us a little bit of depth. Again, we're just doing a super wearable look. We're doing every day. We're trying to go super neutral, pretend we're going to the office. And people will look at you funny if you wear green. On this brush, which is fluffier packer brush, this is such a light, fluffy brown shade. Like all of these are. They're just like super ethereal looking. They're not intensely pigmented. I just added a bunch more shadow to really deepen things up because they were really light. Ooh, snap, that's pretty. I think that'll probably be my favorite shimmer in this palette though. There's something so freaking pretty about this shimmer in person. It's everyday and wearable, and yet it has a little bit of pop to it because it's this like peachy pink that's pretty light reflecting. It's just really pretty. It's like going to the office, but you have the best eyeshadow. All right, I want to know, you guys, do you wear eyeshadow like this? Like, do you do a smoky eye or just your eyeshadow like this on a daily basis? And if you do, are you one of the few people, if you work in the office, that does your eyeshadow like this? Or are there a bunch of people in your life that do their eyeshadow like this? Because if you're watching this video, you probably like eyeshadow. I just noticed that no one in my life freaking does eyeshadow like this ever. Like, no one is deepening the outer corner with their eyeshadow. I honestly think that's kind of like a social media thing. Okay, that is literally it, you guys. We're gonna throw on a volumizing mascara. I'm gonna do my foundation. I'm gonna finish the rest of my makeup. Then we're gonna do the lower lash line, but we did something super simple. Again, I think just something super ethereal, something very wearable for today's look, because you guys really seem to, I'm rubbing my nose here, enjoy the fact that I was doing like a really simple look for my speed reviews, and because I'm usually doing something like super crazy with these palettes just to stretch it and see where it can go, and also to have fun and play around. But I am gonna do something today, like I said, so I do want to do something pretty wearable. I feel like this corner is not quite as dark as the other one. But also, I don't always buy like purple eyeshadow palettes too. So, you know, even though these palette a day series are great, there are still a bunch of palettes that I bought for myself for everyday wear. And by the way, I'm going back to my old job, so I will be working in the office 5 days a week. So I'm gonna have to start getting used to doing more things like this on an everyday basis and keeping my crazy vibrant looks for the weekend. So let me go finish my makeup. We'll come back, we'll do the lower lash line, and then we'll talk final thoughts on the palette. Okay guys, we are back. Now normally, if I'm going into the office, I really wouldn't do lower lash line work. But I think for this video, we're going to. Just to complete the eye look, I don't normally wear lower lash line work at all. Like on an everyday basis, it's just something that I don't do. I don't like it. If I'm not wearing a look that's like colorful or I'm doing it for a specific occasion, I tend to be pretty rough on my makeup, and I definitely like touching my under eyes. I like touching my face quite a bit. I don't like to have to like go, oh my gosh, did I mess up my makeup? And so, you know, under eye lash work to me is just like an extra step that is just totally unnecessary. It just makes it extremely difficult for me to like go about my day without kind of like touching myself or like worrying about how my makeup is looking. And I really don't like to do that. All that to be said, I am going to put it on today just so we can complete the eye look. I'm going to do this on the outer corner. I'm going to take the same shade that we used in the inner corner on the inner corner of the lash line. And that is it. Just honestly something pretty simple. I'm going to take like a pretty tight brush for the outer corner just to give it a little bit of depth, but I'm not doing anything with my waterline at all. I'm just deepening this up just a tiny bit. And I probably am just going to give the lower lashes the tiniest bit of mascara. All right, now I'm just gonna blend it out with this shade just a little bit, just smoke it out with the same brush that I just wiped off. And that is it. Nothing in the waterline. Taking the same mascara for the lower lashes that I did for the top lashes, which is my Ritual Defeat Levitation Lash. This is one of my favorites, but like right now, for whatever reason, it's just moved to the top. Like #1 spot. I just think it is like the stickiest formula out there. It's like one of the tackiest things that just grips to every freaking lash and just gives me like really good volume. Do I wish it was like slightly more intense? Yes, but I wish my eyelashes curled better, and that's part of it. It's not like they're not there in full. It's just that they don't curl quite enough. Anyway, let's talk final thoughts on this palette. I mentioned everything and I stand by it. I bought this palette so that I could wear it personally for my everyday use, something that I could take into the office, an opportunity to test another brand, support another independent brand, not necessarily a thing that I would wear for a camera. Although this is a very flattering palette in general, the shades were very desaturated and very light. Like I said, just really ethereal looking overall. I really did enjoy this shimmer though. I mean, it's the most light reflecting, so I can't imagine that all the other shimmers are probably going to be like quite as impactful and pretty as this one, because it's just this like really nice kind of icy pink. But they each have their own and different tone. You know, this one is just more copper, this one is deeper, and this one over here is more champagne if you like that. These are all pretty light shimmers. I would say these two are probably like mid-tone if you wanted to like build them up, but this is overall just a very light everyday palette. That's what this is great for. This is such a flattering eye look to take into the office, in my personal opinion. The quality of this is really good. Again, very desaturated color story. This was not meant to be intensely pigmented. So that was the look that I created with this palette, testing Pink Crush Cosmetics for the first time. This is the only palette that I picked up from the brand, and again, they're no longer out there. So if they do start up again, I mean, I can recommend their formula to you. I thought it was really good everyday formula. If you guys have this palette in your collection, maybe this just renews your interest in grabbing it out again and testing it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's look and you're enjoying this series. I still have 2 more fall themed palettes to go, even though we're in the first week of December. I am so mad and I'm very behind, but that's just the way that it's going for me in my personal life. If you guys aren't currently subscribed, I hope that you subscribe so you stick around. I'm out of here, and I hope to catch y'all in my next video. Bye guys.